everybody. I'm Aaron Hernandez. I got Matt and Daniel back with me again. This time we're talking about White War of the Spark cards. This is our War of the Spark top 10 for White. Very top-heavy color.
Yeah,
it is.
I had a hard time picking 10 cards for this set.
Yeah.
For this color specifically. Like
the last, 4 are pretty medium, but the top 2 are very powerful.
Yeah.
But let's start with the sweet, but probably not going to see play in number 10.
Houseboat Parhelion 2.
Yeah.
8 mana total. 6 white and a white. Legendary artifact. It's a vehicle. It becomes a 5/5. Has flying, first strike, vigilance. Whenever Parhelion 2 attacks, create 2 4/4 white angel creature tokens with flying and vigilance that are attacking. Crew 4. And we're done here.
So it has a lot of text on it. It has a lot of text on it. I really wish that its crew cost was less than 4. It costs 8 mana.
I think I like the crew cost being 4 because the angels are 4/4. So the angels that come out of it can crew it. It makes sense, right? That's who's crewing it as angels.
Yeah, the flavor definitely.
The flavor
It's a flavor one, except isn't it supposed to be Feather piloting this?
Who's a 3/4?
Who's a 3/4? Now, Aravia can do it after her trigger targeting herself.
All right. Now, if you can find a way to cheat this into play, does it
Which
become
seems
better?
doable.
In standard right now, we've got there's a card, and now I'm not remembering what it was, even though I looked it up.
Can any of the Tezzerts and standard
that
animate it?
hits artifacts or that cheats out?
It cheats out legendary.
Honestly, all the ways that I can think to cheat this out, wish that it was colorless.
I'm gonna
creature,
cheat, and I'm gonna use my phone, and I'm gonna look it up.
Just the fact that it's actually a V. Like if it was a creature, it would be easier to cheat out.
You just want this with Ugin and your shenanigans.
I mean, of course I do.
Is there a version of Tezzeret in standard right now that'll animate this?
Thran, Temporal Gateway. There it is. 4 mana, tap it. You may put a historic permanent card from your hand onto the battlefield. So there is a way to cheat it into play on turn 5 for 4 mana.
Yeah, this card's not going to see standard play. It's really cool.
Reach it.
It's giant. If you play it in sealed or two-headed giant sealed, you're just going to beat the absolute piss out of your opponent with it.
Yeah.
So play it there. Maybe there'll be a way to cheat it in standard at some point, but for right now, a really good sealed card.
Yeah.
In the exact opposite of the efficiency spectrum, we have Prison Realm. 1 and a white, when it enters the battlefield, exile. 2 and a white, excuse me. 2 and a white, exile target creature or planeswalker an opponent controls until Prison Realm leaves the battlefield. It's an O-ring. And when it enters the battlefield, you scry 1.
Yeah, it's an O-ring, but it's limited, right?
Yeah.
So just a planeswalker or creature. So...
But it scries 1.
Good and limited.
Yeah.
It scries 1.
The scry one is really nice.
I'm definitely undervaluing scry, but just because it is so limited in what you're going to hit with this, you can't hit you can't hit artifacts or enchantments with it, so it loses a lot of that value. And
it makes sense in the set that we're playing it in, right? It's very
this is true.
creature
Yeah.
heavy.
Being able to
planeswalker
still
heavy
hit
set.
planeswalkers does matter.
It's very
You're going to hit a
for
lot.
this limited format.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably a 10 out of 10 in the limited
And I
format.
think it'll see... It's possible to see standard play.
I think it is efficient enough. We were talking about Bond of Flourishing in the green list. It's a permanent.
Yeah.
Which is relevant. Sometimes you can find enchantments different ways you can find.
Right. I don't think it'll break into any other formats, but I think it could see some standard play. Definitely a card you want to put into your limited deck if you pull it.
You'd play 5 in limited.
Yeah.
Another primarily limited.
Yeah, number 8 is the Wanderer. 3 and a white. Legendary Planeswalker. Prevent all non-combat damage that would be dealt to you and other permanents you control. And then it's -2, exile target creature with power 4 or greater, and it comes in with 5 loyalty counters. I don't know if this is going to see any constructed play, but it's definitely a decent Planeswalker for limited.
It would have to be out of the sideboard again, something to see constructed play. Honestly, the two abilities sort of fight with each other in terms of where you want it in constructed.
Yeah.
Right.
If you use her minus, then she's liable to bolt or lightning strike in standard.
Well, Other permanents you control, yeah.
Yeah, she doesn't protect herself.
She doesn't protect herself. She's too mana intensive for Modern to play against burn, right? It's not a card you're going to bring in against burn.
Also, it doesn't do much against burn other than okay, now burn has to target this, and there are better things.
Well, and actually,
especially 4 mana.
If what you're worried about is like getting bolted or something like that, I actually think the next card on our list, number 7, Teo, would be a better option.
Absolutely.
Yeah. 3 mana for
1 less mana.
Yep, 1 less mana. Same loyalty, 5. Creates an 0/3 wall token with Defender for its ability, and then it also gives you Hexproof as its static ability. So much
creates blockers.
Yep.
Gives you Hexproof.
And it's only 3 mana.
Only 3 mana. Could be good against mono red and standard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like this. I like this card because it's so efficient. You get 2 0/3 walls pretty consistently, and if you care about the hexproof at all, I think it's pretty good.
Now Teo with the Wanderer. Okay, moving on.
No, moving on. Number 6, Gideon's Triumph. White and 1 instant. Target opponent sacrifices a creature that attacked or blocked this turn. If you control a Gideon Planeswalker, that player sacrifices 2 of those creatures instead. I think this is a good limited card. I think that this could see standard constructed play. It's possible that it could see modern play. It depends on if Gideon Tribal becomes a thing. I could see people wanting to have this.
I definitely think that if you are any sort of white control deck playing Gideon, it becomes very good.
Yeah.
We got a couple reasonable Gideons.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of good Gideons, and with this effect, it's similar to some things we've seen. There's a lot of decks, think about Modern, running around that just are trying to get in with 1 or 2 creatures. Yep. So if you're running out a cheap Gideon, it's going to give you that interplay.
Well, and the attacking, it seems kind of narrow, right? It's a sacrifice effect. It has to be an attacking creature. But those two things actually kind of benefit each other, sort of. Mm-hmm. The problem with edicts normally is they've got like a 1/1 or like a noble hierarch or something, just something extra hanging around to sack, but they're not going to attack with that. So you're more likely to get the creature that you want. The upside of getting 2 creatures for 2 mana is really high.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I think that it'll see mainboard play in standard.
Yeah, I mean we've got what 2 3-mana Gideons in standard right now. So Gideon the Trials and Gideon Blackblade now. So yeah, absolutely.
I think this one's going to definitely see play in standard. I think maybe modern.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could see play in modern. There's, a 3-drop Gideon, a 4-drop Gideon, a 5-drop Gideon.
Yep.
All the Gideons.
And
There's
you
a
can have
1-drop
them all in
Gideon.
play.
There's a 1-drop Gideon.
And you can have them all. That's not Gideon, that's Gideon. It's not a Gideon.
All right.
Number 5.
Well, number 5. You got more? No.
No.
Okay.
Number 5. Go
number
for it.
5. Tomic, Distinguished Advocate. Interesting. White for the mana cost. Legendary creature, human advisor for a 2/3 with flying, lands in the battlefield and lands in your graveyards can't be the target of spells or abilities your opponents control. You can still life from the loam and do whatever you want with your own. Your opponents can't play lands from their graveyards.
Well, it's a 2/3 flyer for 2.
I think that is a kind of good talking point to start on, because where has White had that?
It's a pretty good rate.
Cost?
That's a pretty efficient creature. So if you're getting any value off of the lands ability, I think that's pretty strong.
Does this make it into humans in modern? Protects your caverns from Field of Ruins, Ghost Quarters. Stops Dredge from casting Loam. They can't target. Stops Crucible of Worlds. Oh, no, I'm reaching here.
I mean, I think
maybe
that,
sideboard. Like I just don't know if this is doing enough. Like, what are you replacing in humans? I
have no idea.
Big question. Yeah, and like against Dredge, like you kind of run out and
because I don't know where this sees. I guess this sees play in standard with Field of Ruins still being popular.
Well, I mean, it's a legacy card ultimately. They have an entire lands deck.
Yep.
Strip Mine, Wasteland. I mean, Strip Mine is just for vintage, I guess. But I do think you need to be playing against a deck that is either built to return their lands, and that is like part of their engine, or something that is like trying to.
Does this see play if speculating? Does this see play in modern if Modern Horizons has Wasteland?
I could see it. Yeah, absolutely.
If we add another
add to this being played in modern.
Okay.
Yeah. If somebody is focusing on attacking your lands,
taxes might want to play it.
Yeah.
If they decide Rishon imports coming into modern,
which would be like a less scary Wasteland, I think, just a little, Right? It's still
if that is the case, and that's kind of what this is hedging for, like, I'm kind of afraid of taxes at this point.
Yeah.
Because now they get, if they're going to get Port and Atomic, and then they have all of their taxing effects, it's going to make that really hard to fight in Modern.
Number 4.
Yeah, just protecting your own lands.
Then we're going deep into the speculation box this time.
Yeah.
Like we said, white is perhaps not the deepest.
Well, I mean,
color.
I think that,
but these last 4 cards are good.
I think that white could see play in a lot more formats. But time will tell.
Well, I mean, I actually think Tomek is the perfect example of that. Going back to what we were just talking about, because like if you are in a lands heavy meta and you play Legacy, then he's fantastic. Right now, that's not the type of Magic that most people play. But if this was a top 10 Legacy cards, it would probably be number 1.
They did also say they want Modern Horizons to be a format that kind of bolsters and diversifies the format even more. So maybe they're finding a way to build lands into Modern.
Yeah. I mean, it's possible that they did some testing. Wizards, maybe, tested outside of Standard. And with them producing now a Modern, direct to Modern.
Yeah, well, and that's actually one place that this card could easily have been invented. Even was as a Modern Horizons card. That's something that happens in the design process kind of regularly. Is people will come up with an idea, and then it just will get cut from this set or that set, and then it'll get used over here instead of over there.
And as far as we know, Tomek, storyline wise, is like just kind of a random off character.
Yeah,
I mean. The book came out today, and I'm hoping he is in it in some sort of capacity somewhere.
I suggest you do this, and then he's done. That's his one line. All right.
Number 4.
Story stuff, I guess, right?
Finale of Glory. White, and X sorcery. Create X 2/2 white soldier creature tokens with vigilance. If X is 10 or more, also create X 4/4 white angel creatures tokens with flying and vigilance.
Almost every person that has talked to me about this card did not read the word "also" the first time they read that card.
Yeah,
card is bananas.
Yeah.
So if you cast this for 10, so 12 mana into it, you're creating 10 2/2s with vigilance and 10 4/4s with flying and vigilance.
And if you cast it for 9...
So you're adding 60 power to the board for 12 mana. I'm pretty sure that's on rate.
I mean, if you cast it for 9, you're getting 18 power. You're still doing good.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, the fact that it's sorcery speed slows it down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I think it would be too powerful at instant speed.
Especially
but I think,
since we already have March of the Multitudes in the format.
It would be way too... a mono-white token producer like this would definitely, I think, be a control finisher.
Yeah.
Whereas at sorcery speed, it's a tokens card.
Yeah, but I think that in the right Selesnya deck, in Standard, something that lets all of your creatures tap for mana...
Yeah.
You cast the first one for 5, and then the next one you cast for 12.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, at 6 mana, right? You're getting 4 2/2s with vigilance, which is above rate.
That's above rate.
Yeah.
If we're going by the Grizzly Bear, vanilla Grizzly Bear.
You can look back at some similar cards that have come out recently. You had Assure Assemble. Is 6 mana for 3 2/2s.
Okay.
It is at instant speed, right? But still, that rate's pretty solid.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. I think the biggest question for Standard is, does this card supplant March of the Multitudes? And I think the instant speed, the life gain effect about it, and the fact that you can convoke ends up with this card not being as good.
I mean, I think...
Even though the rate ultimately is better.
Yeah. I mean, I think you could see some decks playing a split and using this to get some creatures on the battlefield and then convoking further with March of the Multitudes.
Well, yeah, I think the question is how much mana do these token decks produce? Because if you're not producing a lot of mana and you're using the convoke to power out your X, then March is much. But if you are a big mana green deck that is coincidentally playing tokens, if you can theoretically produce 12 mana as part of your game plan, then this is really good.
Yeah, but if you're a big mana green deck, you're not playing this finale.
Maybe.
I
could see it going either way. Number 3 on the list is, I think this is my favorite card in white. Single combat, white, and 3. Sorcery. Each player chooses a creature or planeswalker they control, then sacrifices the rest. The second block of text, players can't cast creature or planeswalker spells until the end of your next turn. I think that is the important piece here for control decks. We get to wipe the board, and you don't get to cast any follow-up creatures. Like, your opponent doesn't get to do anything.
They do get to choose their strongest creature.
Sure. But if I have a Teferi and I cast this and keep my Teferi and tuck your last creature and you can't cast any creatures the following turn, I'm untapping with a Teferi.
Yeah,
that's fair.
I think that whole
either Teferi really.
Yeah.
You cast this out, you get that respite. The fact that you have that time, and that's often like a control player's worst nightmare is like, I have to tap out to wipe this board, but then they're just going to replay whatever they're coming.
Yeah.
With.
No, that's actually as a control player, that exact play pattern can be very frustrating. Particularly with 5 mana rats, it's much less punishing with 4 mana ones. But this kind of lets you break that parity, which I like.
Yeah. Also, I just love the fact that it's Sorin and Nahiri just going at it in the middle of this massive battle for the multiverse. Nicobolus is about to destroy everything.
There's zombies coming after their spikes. They're saving each other so they can keep fighting.
Yeah, probably Nahiri was probably like, nope, don't care about any of that. Gonna kill Sorin.
This is probably the sub storyline that I'm most excited to read about, especially in kind of a book context. You get to know what's going on in their head,
right?
And I'll be pretty interested to see these two going at it. It's just a fun.
I'm not sure if it was in my imagination or just in one of the flavor texts of the cards that were revealed for this little battle skirmish that was going on, but I'm pretty sure in one point, Nahiri does save Sorin from a Lazotep zombie. And he's just like, no, this is my fight.
No, I do think you see that happen. I don't remember what card
it makes sense.
on.
You don't get to kill him. I'm going to kill him.
Yeah.
He's not yours. He's mine. Go away, Nicobolus. I'm killing Sorin, okay?
He's my vampire statue.
Yeah.
Well, and I love the visualization of this fight in my head, because these are two of the most powerful planeswalkers out there. They are two of the 4 or 5 remaining ancient planeswalkers, and they are just full throwing down. You can see it. The art on this card with
there's 8 to 12 stone blades just coming out of nowhere.
The quote: "Not even a threat to the entire multiverse could persuade them to put aside their feud." It explains their feud through Magic from start to finish.
Oh yeah.
All right. Number 2.
So first, I want to talk about how these top 2 cards are just fantastic.
Yeah.
I think that either one of these cards could have easily made number 1 on a number of the other lists.
Yeah.
And I think there's a very small window between them.
Interesting anecdote that they all got spoiled in the same day.
Yep.
And also, our number 2 wasn't spoiled with their compatriots.
Oh yeah, no, they made it.
I was so confused when they spoiled the first 3, and then I'm like,
well,
where's God Eternal Ketra? Why is it? And then when of course you see it, you're like, oh.
You want a reader?
Sure. So 5 mana, 3 white, legendary creature, zombie god, double strike with a 3/6. Oh, yeah. Whenever you cast a creature spell, create a 4/4 black zombie warrior creature token with vigilance.
So, have you ever made a 4/4 zombie token with anything?
With anything, you could cast Snubhorde Sentry, and you get a 4/4 zombie token.
You can cast Ugin's Conjurant.
For 0?
For 0?
For 0.
0 mana,
4/4.
4/4 vigilance.
It's pretty good.
Just banana. Well, and it's on a 3/6 double strike
for 5 mana,
which is
and
really efficient.
Attacks for 6 damage.
And like all of the other gods, when God Eternal Ketra dies or is put into exile from the battlefield, you may put it into its owner's library 3rd from the top.
This might be the best white commander I've ever seen. Because you just don't have a form of card advantage in white. The thing you do is you play hate bears, and if every single one of your hate bears comes with a 4/4 zombie token, that's
with vigilance.
They have vigilance. So I actually think that this card's going to see a lot of standard play and a fair bit of EDH play.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. I mean, just the turn you cast it doesn't do a lot, but the following turn you have one creature and you're
well, and
getting value.
It's you don't even necessarily have to just untap with this, because if they have removal for it, it's getting tucked back under.
Right.
So
the only way it doesn't enter the battlefield eventually is if you're dead or they counter it.
Right.
Yeah.
So at the top end of your aggressive white strategy or whatever you're doing, maybe you don't play an aggressive white, but still,
it might be.
I think bringing it in out of the board again in your aggressive white decks is going to be really nasty.
Because you do need to cast creature spells to trigger it.
Yeah.
So it won't trigger just off any spells.
It's not going to work off of Vivian's Arc Bow.
Right.
Though you could give it flash with Vivian, which is interesting.
Oh yeah. I will be doing that.
Number 1.
We talked about him. You know it's coming. Gideon Blackblade. One white for a legendary planeswalker Gideon with 4 loyalty. As long as it's your turn, Gideon Blackblade is a 4/4 human soldier creature with indestructible that's still a planeswalker, and you prevent all damage that would be dealt to Gideon Blackblade during your turn. +1, up to 1 other target creature you control gains vigilance, lifelink, or indestructible until end of turn. -6, exile target non-land permanent.
So I think the -6 here is a miss. It's not my favorite thing on a Gideon. As far as flavor goes, like the idea of Gideon exiling other non-land permanents.
I actually really like it as the flavor of the as the flavor of the Blackblade.
I guess the Blackblade, yeah.
Yeah, because it is the stealing sword, and it's his ultimate that is almost always also going to take him off the board, so he's like sacrificing himself.
Which he does. He sacrifices himself in the storyline. But the thing that I love about this card is that it's a 4/4 creature on your turn. There's no plussing it to make it a 4/4 creature. It just... He is a 4/4 on your turn.
Well, and that's always the thing that you ran into with the other Gideon cards is that you a lot of times you would use your activation just making him a creature,
right?
And you get additional value off of this one. He is just always a creature, which is really cool.
Exactly, it's that. Like historically, with your Gideon, you had to decide like, is this the time where I can go aggressive, or do I have to sit back and use Gideon to manage the board state? This Gideon just says, all right, I'm going to plus until I need to kill that thing, and I'm just going to keep attacking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to block with it. So
you can't block with it.
Right.
It's not a creature in
That's the point. That's why I say that, right? You're not going to block with it, so you're always just going to attack with it regardless of what's going on. It can't die in combat.
Yeah.
The only disadvantage is maybe you sacrifice it because it's attacking, and Gideon's Triumph somehow kills Gideon. So flavor-ish win?
The fact that it can be exiled at any point during your turn is interesting, right? So in Modern... It's always a creature, so Path to Exile is always something that can hit it, right? Like on your turn, you don't have to. With other Gideons, you would play around that, right? So, like I remember playing with Gideon Ally, and you go, okay, well my opponent left up white mana. I'm just going to make a 2/2 because I'm not going to activate it and get him pathed. In this case, he just gets pathed, but I think that's absolutely fine.
Yeah, because in this situation in Modern, like they path this Gideon, so they get you the other mana, so you can cast Gideon Jura.
Sure.
Or Gideon Elevzenda cards, whatever.
Yeah. Well,
and the new Planeswalker rule, the fact that you can have multiple Gideons on the board at the same time, so this Gideon can plus on Gideon of the Trials and give it vigilance. Like, I don't know why you'd want to, but you can.
Give it lifelink.
You give it lifelink is what you did. I actually really like the 3 choices on the plus ability. Lifelink for when you're behind, vigilance for when you need to defend your Gideon, indestructible just, if you're playing removal decks. Kind of hits all the different
ability
bases.
to attack into larger creatures.
Mm-hmm. But since we mentioned the way that they spoiled Oketra, the reason they spoiled Oketra last is because as Gideon is going in to impale Nicol Bolas.
Well, look, he's flying up. He's getting ready. He's on the up part of the roller coaster on a Pegasus.
She shoots him down.
She pops out.
That series of cards from start to finish is great, right? The Pegasus and Gideon saying, would you give your life to save everyone? And then you've got, Oketra comes out and they spoil the true shot or whatever.
Divine Arrow.
Yeah.
The fact that Gideon, in the previous storylines, found some attachment to Oketra in Amonkhet is also interesting that she's the one who stops him. And then, of course, spoiler alert, but the fact that he gets to ride Rakdos.
Yeah, and is that the wings of Rakdos we see in the background?
I believe it is.
I believe that is probably one of the sweetest conclusions that they could have come up with. Gideon riding Rakdos. Like, even though it doesn't work, right?
Oh, yeah. Even though Bolas is just like, here with a sword. Not this time. I read that book.
I mean...
apparently not well enough.
Not well enough.
He doesn't still
the art on Prison Realm is Bolas being in prison. So.
Yeah, but that's not because of the guy with the sword.
Yeah, the guy with the sword caused a big enough distraction. You don't know. Or maybe you do. I haven't read all the storylines yet.
Yeah,
No, because the stuff that happens after Gideon falls to the ground and then starts getting stabified by Lazatep zombies, and Liliana decides to change her mind.
Okay.
Well, and the specifics
when that flips around.
Well, the specifics of how that works is the thing we're going to have to read the book to find out. For sure.
Fair, true, but we can pretty much determine the sequence that Gideon jumping off of Rakdos and in all the there's like I love this because like not all the artists were able to work together exactly. So like sometimes Gideon's holding the sword point down, sometimes he's holding its sword up this way. So it's just like you wouldn't make all of those changes as you're jumping up.
Sure you would. In a nice anime, I could totally see that.
Well, because you
right,
know,
and there's 20 minutes of
just
this
twirling it
screaming
above
power
his head.
sequence as you're jumping off the demon. And
all right, boys, I think we're riding off the rails.
Yeah, as you can tell, we really like the flavor of these last two cards. We're really excited about this set, and we're excited to be talking to you about the other colors later this week. Till then, Mayor Hernandez has been another Deckbox Top 10.
Bye.